Welcome to Kerbal Space Program 1.8.0. 1.8 is cool because what they're doing is we're all getting ready for Kerbal 2, right? Coming up in 2020. It's November 6th here, where I'm at right now at this moment in time, 2019. So hopefully in precisely 31 and 24, 55 days. Hopefully in precisely 55 days on January 1, they will release Kerbal 2. Not. We'll be lucky if it's not December 29th of 2020. So be patient. It's the hardest thing for us to be as human beings, is patient. We are basically all neurotic creatures, and there's different levels of it. And basically what that means is we have a body. It has a nervous system. We respond to pain. We have needs called hunger. These are biomechanical needs. The biomechanical needs are like air. We don't have to breathe pure oxygen. We actually don't want to. It's dangerous. It's explosive. So add some nitrogen. It's always been a possibility, and we've had Soviet and United States astronaut die from oxygen accidents, and even primarily because they wouldn't share their data and they operated their programs in secrecy. So the opposite of secrecy is transparency, and that's kind of a fine line. Because we have spies, deconstructionists, people that take your product, take it apart, build it again. Some people believe in intellectual property, and some people are like copycats. Way back when, we basically have people of essence versus people of existence, and born from that group, the children of that battle is existentialist, and that's us. So, welcome to the kindergarten of tech, science, evolution. Now, if anyone knows a guy named Fibonacci, he's a great mathematician who came up with something called the golden ratio, which is the nature's expression of the laws of physics before our eyes. The golden ratio, by the way, is 1.644 approximately. Well, I probably just messed that up with the second 4. Let's just say 1.6. Okay? Don't hold me to it. I'm always operating from memory, and sometimes I have so many numbers colliding in my head, they get mixed. And comes back to the famous philosopher and human evolutionist named Siddhartha Gautama, or Gautama. I may have mispronounced that, but he basically talks about how all men know wrong things, and I am no exception. That would mean nor are you. He just doesn't want to direct it at anyone. He directs it at himself. Says most everything is a conscious choice and should be treated as such. So therefore, the one who makes that choice, which is you, is the most important thing. He also believed that our belief in God should be optional, and it's a very personal thing. And if one wants to believe, he can, but it's not really going to help your choice or consciousness and awareness of the self. But, oh, man, I don't know where all this is going. I think I'm going to go back to Fibonacci and say that he thought God was trying to talk to us through science and math. Now, what I might propose for people who are very religious or choose to believe in God as a choice is embrace that thought. Go find your God. And the people that are agnostic or pure atheistic and certain but I would like to direct you to a behavioral study in 1979 where we're all in love with our own brains so much we embrace wrong ideas to the extreme, even to our own detriment. Anyway, and back to the fact that you can chase science for the sake of science. Anyway, all science is falsifiable. That means we're out to prove it wrong. And I would think if we pursued religion as a science, then it would be accepted that we are constantly trying to prove it wrong. It's just the natural order of things. Religion and science, same thing. We're trying to prove them wrong. We like for them to exist, but we're trying to find the exception even when we prove it right. And that physics. It's pretty set in concrete. 3 basic laws: motion, mass, and energy, right? Creates all this stuff. Gravity, the space-time continuum, Albert Einstein's theories, planetary orbits, moons and satellites, novas, supernovas, and it's constantly changing. Anyway, it's very simple. It's not out of the realm of children 7 years old. 7 is not too young to start learning about the space-time continuum and physics. They can't even understand God. They still believe in Santa Claus, barely know death, but they can understand these things. It's a message, a model, so simple a child can understand this. Anyway, soapbox rant. 6 minutes and 52 seconds. Jump ahead to now. All right, so where we left off, and I'm not really sure because if you remember, I had to redo it because we had a problem. So I think we called it the new you. This has been a while because I've been trying to get this microphone set up. A bunch of stuff's been going on. Trying to get stuff set up. Also changes in my life. Constant change. So I'm a little late, but what this is all about, remember, is polishing our skills so when Kerbal 2 comes out, we will be the bad A Kerbals. All right? We will be awesome. And I think they're just going to kind of make us do it over again, and it's probably going to have flaws and have to work out bugs. It's going to be bad. I promise you. So if we get excited about Kerbal 2, it's going to come out like a 0.05 alpha. Then we're going to slide into beta. And maybe by 2021, we're going to have a resemblance of Kerbal 1.0. And if they're going for console release and a 1.0 by July and a simultaneous 1.0 without beta testing and community involvement, they're gonna fail coming out of the gates. They're not gonna get the 10 out of 10 like Kerbal 1 got. It's gonna be very anticlimactic and they could kill the brand. So gosh, I hope they don't combine console and PC locked together on a final gold release date that's basically a beta release or even an alpha release, and for public consumption, marketing reasons. There's also that dreaded fear that we're going to have a DLC spoon-fed to us, or we're actually going to have to pay for distance. Oh God, I should shut my mouth, because if they somehow see this video, they could go, good idea. But stupid example would be, if we want an antenna that can span across the universe, then we have to pay $10 for it. Or 15 pounds, or 42 rubles. No, I don't know rubles. Let me think about rubles for a minute. Rubles would be about a 42 or 30-1 exchange rate to the dollar. So 30 rubles, 35 rubles as well. Is that right? And $10 would be 35 times 10, 350 rubles. I hope I'm right. I'd have to check the exchange rate. I'm doing all that memory and math in my head. But let's just say 350 rubles, 15 pounds, $10. Yen, Kwan, I don't know. What do we have too? We have Singapore dollars, Hong Kong dollars. It was funny when I was in the Soviet Union. Did you hear that? Soviet Union. I was in Russia. Anyway, they used to have the signs on the wall. All the price tags would be in rubles. But the ruble was in such flux up and down, they had a sign on the wall that said today's exchange rate is. And then that was in US dollars. And then you'd get a calculator if you wanted to buy an object. They go show you the figure. And it was that's so they didn't have to change the price tags constantly. Kind of an old system where everything was handwritten, no barcodes, anything like that. Barely had pocket pagers and bag phones yet, or at this time. Anyway, so, and it was illegal to spend dollars, but if you had them in your pocket and gave them to them in exchange, then you'd get still like a 10% discount. And they had their gray market exchange partners, which could be called black market, but it was technically a gray market because it was, I don't know, it wasn't sanctioned, but officially it's illegal. But if you go there, there's people using it. Sometimes you even see a local cop hanging out for security. I mean, I've seen it in several countries. Anyway, it's cool. It's established. You feel safe, and if you're if you're a tourist, stay away from that stuff. But it does exist. If you see it, what you do is you ignore it. You don't talk about it, and you kind of pretend it's invisible, and put focus on tourist stuff, like the beautiful clock or on the watchtower, something else. Change the subject. Remove your focus. Anyway, all this has something to do with everything. Everything has something to do with everything. And so to put our focus back on our game, jump to the 13-minute mark, and this is the actual beginning. I would like to just familiarize myself with where I'm at. Okay. All right. Looks like I just got my Terrier and my solar panels, batteries. These are the expensive, important things. Experiments, Science Junior, and everything else. So now I know where I'm at with our tech. It looks like we have one Z2 orbiting, whatever that is. Z2. Let's just leave for now. Okay, looks like we have a Kerbal in orbit. So I'm assuming only 7,000. Ooh, we're low on money. Okay, so I'm assuming our active mission is to just come home. Alright, so what they want us to do now is a flyby of the moon. We're probably going to have to... Oh man, I don't have the money to fail. I don't know what to do because this could be a critical failure. Oh well, it happens. Scrap the mission. Let's go see how much gas Z2 has. I mean, maybe I left with us coming back to do a fly by the moon. Alright, I have a material bay. Wow, I have a pretty good tank of gas. I think that may be the mission, fly by the moon. Alright, so let's just start right there. Mark 15 minutes. So the first thing we do is we find the moon and we set it as target. Okay, and then that's going to show us our ascending node and our descending node. See how it's very small? It's like a 0.01. Okay. Now when we do ascend or attempt to do a fly by the moon, we will be in the prograde direction. Now, it's okay if you don't know these words. When you start something, you need to become familiar with the terminology, then you become familiar with the concept, and then you get something called a perspective or a perception, and then after that, you get experience, and then you have something called a contextual perspective. Okay, so what you're doing is you're watching me. I hope the only reason you're watching me is if you're trying to actually do this. I always say this, it's a joke. Maybe you're my dead relatives just seeing what I look like and listening to me talk. It's okay. The third law of thermodynamics says matter can neither be created or destroyed. It's one of the laws. And basically what that means is even if I'm dead, I just change. But I'm never gone. You know, I may not like what I change into, but I can neither be created nor destroyed. That's the third law of thermodynamics. And that means basically confined to this universe. So any of that stuff about time travel or folding the universe and stepping through, it's all speculative and it has so many holes you can't even believe it. The reality is you're here and you're now. And back to what you may have heard if you listened to all this dribble up to now. The here and now is about the people of existence. They were fighting the people of essence, you know, the people of essence. Let me give you an example. Okay. Let's say I was born. And what my culture taught me is that my mouth is a weapon. I use it against people. I call them bad names, you know, something like that. And not only is my mouth a weapon, but it was given to me by God. So, and because I have a common enemy, I'm supposed to use this weapon against them. You know, I'm a Capulet. I'm going to call them Montagues what they need to be called because I have a weapon that God gave me, my mouth. Okay, so what this primarily means is I'm a person of essence, not existence. I have this belief that I exist because I'm mouthy and I call people names, especially the people that deserve to be called names based on my culture. And it's absolutely a wrong thing. It's the wrong way of thinking. The correct way of thinking is, man, maybe I love my mother as much as they love their mother, and now we have a common denominator, and maybe I should keep my weapon in my pocket, my mouth shut, and listen to what they have to say and try to learn and get better. And if they do the same, you know, if we share and do the same, then we need each other. We're like the I don't know. the minister that came from Sinister. And we grew. Anyway, just word roots. Ister, I-S-T-E-R. 1 foot in heaven, 1 foot on earth, which is where we are right now. Let's go look at this. 1 foot on heaven, 1 foot on earth. Look at us. Man, don't we feel like there's some benevolence in our presence? You know? I feel like I'm attached to the planet below, but yet I appear to be floating in the planet above. Alright, I don't know what's going to happen. I may be sectioning this video out into increments, but it looks like it's coming up on the 21-minute mark, and I've done basically nothing but board this ship, and I'm waiting for the moon. Now, here it comes, and I'm going to speed this process up a little with some time acceleration. And you see how the moon comes, come. Up. Alright. Looks like I have my throttle at 100%, so I like that there. And the moon's coming up. Now, a normal view, default view is probably something like that. Now, this is probably preferred as a teaching method this way, because now we get the visualization that we're not flying. We're in space. When I was the other way, we're kind of like an airplane, you know, the earth below us, the sky above us. But right now we don't have that dimension. The planet is to our left, and space is to our right, or surrounding, enveloping us completely. It's a whole different perspective. The planet becomes like an object, like a table in the room, rather than our central view, our arrogant context, ourselves, our own feet. We have now the moon and the planet and the space around it as our context. And we know something exists beyond that, so we know what we don't know. And that makes us genius. When you know what you don't know, that's the first step of becoming a genius. And that's, I'm not even going to say who said that, because I don't know, but he's famous. And when you hear it, you go, yeah. And if you type it on your phone right now, you look it up. Kids amaze me. I'm using my brain all the time. I exercise it. Some people just look it up. Okay, so what happened just there, I didn't have time to talk about it. I saw the moon come over the horizon. I'm maintaining my prograde retrospect, and I am firing my gas at full throttle. You can see my needle all the way up. I'm getting cherry red hot. Oh, it's an explosion. And the other thing that's happening is we're creating an orbit that's non-concentric. It's like an egg, kind of. And our apoapsis is growing to the moon, but the moon's here, look, and we're going here. So the whole idea is to hit it and get into what we call, this isn't the best thing in the world. Look, on our return orbit, we're going to crash into the planet. So I just want to squeak this out a little. And this is unplanned, but it's pleasant, because I've put our Kerbal periapsis return at 68,000. That's just barely space. And we are going to be within 900,000 meters of the moon. And if I want to stretch this out, I can get closer, but I think this is perfect. Now, this is called a return trajectory orbit. If I wanted to be cool, I would push this all the way closer, and then when we got there, I would adjust this back with a burn, but the beautiful thing about this, and let's just correct this a little, and let's talk about the most beautiful thing that we could do right now, and I'm going to put it on 30,000, 29,000. $26, good enough, below 30. And what this is going to do is when we return from space, we will need no more gas. We're going to use the gravity of the planet in a controlled. We're going to shrink the orbit. Okay, so we made it grow with power. We can turn the rocket to retrograde and go reduce what we've done in prograde. That's what I did there. I was at 68, so I put it back on below 30. So let's just assume we're out of gas. That cost us almost no gas to get there. And what we're doing, it's called a gravity burn. And when we come in and do the gravity burn, we're going to be burning off the friction. We're going to hit the gravity well. It's going to draw our periapsis all the way back down to the planet. And we could actually do this maneuver right now if we were out of fuel. So let's go look and see where we're at. All right, we have a lot of fuel. So we didn't have to do that. But we're going to do that anyway, because assuming that we're out of fuel, and that we just used the last bit of gas to do that. But we had to get home. And believe me, if we didn't do it right, we're just going to continue like this until someone could rescue us. In a non-concentric orbit, zipping in, doing 3,000 meters per second on an approach, and then coming back to the moon and slowing back to slower than we fly an airplane. And what I want to do at this point is accelerate some time all the way to the periapsis of the moon. So I'm putting this on time acceleration. I'm going to go back to the map so I can just watch it. I'll try to look at other things, make sure we don't run out of electricity. If you can see, as we come this way, the moon's coming. And the computer has us rendezvousing. These are computer projections. They may or may not happen, but in Kerbal Space Program, because it's edutainment simulation program, it will. They just need the physics model to behave exactly like reality. I mean, like your instructional material. Anyway, it is because it does, and it's a physics, correct physics model, and they even recorrected the original idea and have recorrected it again. Anyway, did I talk about 1.8? I'm still trying to accelerate to my periapsis. It's so we can get rid of, because we're excited about Kerbal 2 graphics, and now we can incorporate Kerbal 2 textures and Kerbal 2 stuff into Kerbal 1. And it's not that cool while we wait for Kerbal 2. So if they come and Kerbal 2 is all messed up, maybe we'll just use Kerbal 2 graphics on Kerbal 1 perfection, and then eventually the console catches up. And anyway,